Okay, so today we are going to be reviewing The Ember Blade, which is a book I am now obsessed with, and I apologize in advance because I'm gonna talk about it too often on my channel. The Ember Blade is an 800-page epic that is so good. So this is gonna be a spoiler-free review. I'm gonna gush a lot, and then we're gonna dive into brief spoilers, and then we'll get to my final thoughts. Timestamps in the description if you need to skip the spoilers when we get to that point. So let me tell you about this book. Okay, so we start out with two main characters, Cade and Aaron. I keep saying Cade's name first. I should say Aaron's name first because he's the protagonist of the book. Cade and Aaron, there we go again, are two best friends. I don't know their age. I reckon they're around 20, 22, somewhere in that range. Yeah, it doesn't say on the back and I don't really pay attention to that stuff. Anyway, so Cade and Aaron are best friends and they live in a society where, I guess, they have different rankings in society. They have different social standings. Aaron has a higher standing than Cade. That causes a little bit of conflict between them. Because of an event, they end up in a work camp. This work camp is, it's the kind of place where they work you until you drop and then they replace you. And so this kind of breaks them down, brings them together a little bit more. They have to break free, and then they team up with this crew of people who help to shepherd them to get to the Ember Blade for reasons. That's all I'll give you, because even the amount that what I've given you is all on the back description. But even that, you get a chunk into the book before you get there. So, but it's hard to properly describe an 800-page book without having to give you a chunk of it. Anyway, the blurb on this says, Lord of the Rings for the modern generation, an epic world full of history, depth, and adventure. There's also a blurb on the back that says, if you like Brandon Sanderson, you'll love this. So, I said this in a recent video. I've turned jaded for book blurbs. Everything is compared to something popular. Everything is the next something. And everything is, if you love this popular author that everybody loves, you'll love it too. I don't trust you, book blurbs. This is a really good thing. You can trust those blurbs. So obviously that already hypes the book too high in your mind. Now you have unrealistic expectations. Allow me to further make your expectations unrealistic. This book feels like a classic, but whoops. This book feels like a classic, but modern. You can tell that it takes great inspiration from Lord of the Rings while still being totally its own thing. It feels like it has that classic fantasy feel while still being something completely unique to what it is. I think that, let me get his name right, Chris Wooding, because I'm going to be reading a lot of his books now. I think that Chris Wooding did everything right. Let me break it down. Let me try. World building. Comprehensive without being exhaustive. I feel like I understand this world very well. I understand the politics of it. I understand the culture of it. I understand the different social dynamics of it. I can see it very clearly. We went on a quest in this book, which I don't even like quest books, but I loved this one. I mean, I love Lord of the Rings too, so obviously I can like quest books. I loved this one. We saw a lot of the world, and I understand this world well without feeling without feeling exhaustive about it. So that's one thing that's probably important to note, because when you think Brandon Sanderson, especially if you read the Stormlight Archive, when you think Brandon Sanderson, you think world building, and this is not Brandon Sanderson level world building. But I still think that there will be a correlation between his fans and this story. Anyway, the world building is comprehensive without being exhausting. The character work is phenomenal. I love our two best friends. I loved them from their very first chapter. I love our entire crew, all the people that we meet up with the crew of people that are also on this quest with them. There's not a single member of this crew that I dislike. I love all of them uniquely. I love how poorly they fit together, how much they get on each other's nerves, yet how much they sacrifice for each other. I love their dynamics. I love each individual. We get time where we kind of almost break off from the main story and spend time with the individual people, and we get to know their individual situations. We don't do that with everybody, but we get sections of the book that kind of slow down and allow us to focus on the individual people at different times. I loved every second of it. I know these characters so well, and I'm so attached to them. They're each uniquely and individually their own character. They're all very deep and well done, and I love their dynamics between them. Character work, excellent. Prose. His prose is very straightforward. His prose is very just very simple, straightforward, but at the same time, the way he describes environment and the way he describes the world is beautiful. I've actually never seen such a mix of straightforward prose mixed with beautiful descriptions. And his descriptions aren't over the top. He manages to be very, very immersive without... I feel like no one would get bored reading his descriptions, but at the same time, I feel like I've stepped into the setting with them. It's amazing. The plot itself, again, feels very familiar. We've done this before, but it's unique to this story. It's engaging. It's interesting. It's definitely not a fast-paced story, but it's also, it's slow without being meandering. It's slow, but there's always a build. There's always a tension. There's always something happening, even if that something is character work instead of plot progression. But the plot progresses enough that it still feels like we're always moving. I don't know. It's just so good. I understand that not everyone is going to love this book on the level that I do, and I also understand that I'm overhyping it, so I'm setting you up to not be able to love it on the level that I do. So I guess just adjust your expectations, but I have to scream about this book for a while because I love it so much. I love these characters. I love this setting. I love the story that I just got to experience with them. I love the conflict that they experienced. I love the emotional turmoil and pain that they had to work through. I love them. And you know what else too? It's a story with stakes. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to say too much, but it's a story. I was nervous. I was nervous about the way this book would resolve because it's just had such a good journey, and I didn't know about the ending. The ending did not let me down. There were real stakes. Let's talk about the ending. We're gonna dive into spoilers just super briefly, and then I'm gonna come back for final thoughts. So, description, check it out. You can skip the spoiler. Okay. I would like to say that, ouch. I'm not happy with you, Chris Whitting. How could you harm me like this? But also, thank you so much. But also mean. Okay. The most dramatic, the most painful scene for me, of course, is going to be Cade's death. Cade was... Listen. Okay, this is the conversation I had with my dad because he read this book at the same time I did. And this is the conversation I had with him in regards to Cade after I finished the book. And I understand. Cade was whiny and he was immature. And yeah, a lot of the internal conflict that happened in this book was Cade's fault for not really handling situations the best sometimes. But also, his bond with Aaron was so strong, and Aaron's love for him was so strong that I'm not okay with Aaron losing him. I'm not okay with that kind of pain that Aaron has to experience. And the death was so well written. The fact that Cade, that Aaron was risking his life for Cade. And Cade was like, "You're an idiot. You're going to kill us both." And Aaron was like, "I'm not leaving you." And so Cade tells him, "You're not leaving me. I'm leaving you." And he drops. I can't deal with it. I won't deal with it. I can't deal with it. It was so well done. It was so well done. Keel was a character that I really, really loved as well. I loved everything that we got to see with his family. I love the conflict between him and Garrick, and just seeing another set of best friends that have been through so much and it's not going well for them. The fact that Keel betrayed Garrick in the end and then killed himself was so tragic, but I love that Chris Whitting went there with his character, that he showed the consequences of what he's been through, and of Garrick neglecting him, and like what Keel ended up being driven to. Obviously, like, I'm not pleased about it, but it was an honest depiction of his pain after losing his family, and him betraying Garrick was so heartbreaking. And then what Garrick went through, and then when he was rescued, and it's like, great, we have Garrick now. Let's go save the day. Joke's on us. We have Garrick now, but Garrick is out. He's like, no, I have a different mission, and I'm going to go down with that ship. And it was a mission of revenge, and it was a mission of I'm going to take as many down as I can. And losing Garrick was a necessity because Aaron needed to step out. He needs to step out in the next book, and he needs to stand on his own. I'm mad that he's not standing with Cade. I'm genuinely upset about it, and I'm actually slightly hoping for some sort of fake out death that will be revealed in book 2, because I'm so upset that he doesn't have Cade anymore. But anyway, moving on. Aaron needs to step out away from Garrick in book 2. So this is good, but I don't like it. It hurts. Orca's death as well. Again, going back to my dad's conversation, he put it so eloquently. That one also hurt because she was also such a great character. I mean, I loved everybody in this crew. There's no one I didn't love. So her death too, it hurt. But at least we still have half of our crew left to bring into book 2. So we still have Erin, who I love. We still have, I think her name was Vale. For some reason, her name is slipping me, who obviously Erin and Vale are going to continue on in book 2 and develop their relationship more. We still have Ruck, which I count as a character. Yeah, I mean, it counts. And then we still have Grub, who is my favorite character of the whole book. I love Grub more than everything. I wasn't expecting his arc to be what it was. I wasn't expecting his whole drama of being like a skin stealer and him planning on betraying, and then he didn't betray, and it was just so good. It was so good. Grub's whole thing was so good. I love his personality. I love every single line. I mean, most of my annotations here are of Grub. Most of my annotations are underlining every single thing that he says and either laughing or just loving him for his sweetness. And when he interjects himself and he's like, no one thanked Grub for this. And oh my golly, that final scene, when it wasn't the final scene, when the walls were closing in and Grub got through and he told him to give him the Ember blade. And Cade gave him the Ember blade, and then Orca was sure that he had betrayed them, because of course he will. And then it turns out that he like threw the Ember blade in the cogs to stop the wall from closing, and then he got them out, and and he was like, Dumbhead? Is that what he was calling Cade? I don't remember the nickname he had come up with for Cade. He's like, Dumbhead said that this was indestructible. Why would you say that if it's not indestructible? And oh my golly, I love him. I love his thought processes. I love every line he speaks. I love every scene he's in. When he got the key off of the guy he killed and it was covered in blood, and they were like, Grub, there's blood on this. And he's like, yeah, previous owner didn't want to part with it. I just like, everything is so simple for him. I love his character, and I'm so glad he's not gone. I'm mourning the death of those that we lost, but I'm so glad Grub isn't gone. And even like the scene when he explains why he decided, he's like, yeah, I was going to betray you, but I decided not, because I'm going to go and I'm going to be a legend with you guys. And it doesn't matter if I'm never accepted by my people. It doesn't matter if I never lose my slave marks or my betrayer marks. I'll stay by you guys. And I just love this book. I just think that every single scene in this book was gold. Like, I don't feel like a word was wasted. I should go into, okay, back to spoiler free. Final thoughts. Here we are, final thoughts. I don't feel like a word was wasted in this book. I don't feel like a scene was wasted. There were scenes that were slower and that a few times that I was considering, why are we doing this? Why are we here? But it was always engaging and it always came back around. I don't think a scene was wasted. I think this is 824 pages. Is that right? Is that how many pages there are? Hey, 824 pages of gold. And I know I'm overhyping it, and I apologize. I guess just figure out your own expectations. knock me down a peg, but this book worked for me on every level. On every level. This is definitely a new favorite. I'm so sad that book 2 isn't out yet. I'm so sad that book 2 has been delayed. But I am going to read more of Chris Whitting's work because, oh my goodness, the subscriber that sent this to me and told me that this is Lord of the Rings meets The Lies of Locke Lamora, because yes, there is a heist in this book. I just want you to know, thank you, because I loved this book so much. I highly recommend The Ember Blade. It'll be linked in the description if you want to buy it. It was really good. I would love to chat with you more about it in the comments. Have you read this book? Will you be reading this book? Will you be mad at me that I've overhyped it so much? Please, I want to discuss this with people, so I hope you check it out. Check out my Patreon if you want to. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you again soon. Bye.